What's going on, gamers? We got an interesting article here on IGN, or in general, that's going around from Bobby Kotick. Basically claiming that Activision, Call of Duty, and consoles are doing so poorly, which PlayStation 5 is doing well, and the Switch 2 is doing well. It's only the Xbox. It proves, but Call of Duty, yeah, pathetic. It proves he was right to sell Activision Blizzard to Microsoft for $69 billion. Shots fired. Oh yeah, he's good at doing this, but what I find about this statement is that it's hypocritical, because you've guys seen me cover where he says, why would you sell when I got World of Warcraft? You saw the interview, and COD is doing well. You wouldn't do that and put it on a service. He didn't agree with that deal, and he didn't agree with Satya getting into gaming. He said that. And then he said, yeah, you should go for meta or something different, but you don't really belong in gaming. You don't know what you're doing. He was right about that, yeah. But now he's saying that he was right to sell it, but that wasn't the agreement before, because they were making plenty of money. So yeah, this is a double standard statement. Let's get into this. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. So going down to the article, it says former Activision boss Bobby Kotick has made a number of claims about the state of his former company, Call of Duty, and the console market as part of a response to a lawsuit. Yeah, there was things going on that he wanted it to be blocked, which is kind of interesting. Kotick, who left Activision Blizzard at the end of 2023, having sold the company to Xbox maker Microsoft for $69 billion, if you guys don't remember that, I mean, who wouldn't, is batting investors who claim he rigged the sale to keep his job and $400 million in change of control benefits. Yeah, he's a bit of a scumbag, but he knows how to run a business and make it successful. Not somebody you want to work with. And to insulate himself from claims he knew about widespread sexual harassment of Activision. Yeah, he sat on it for years. Says a lot about him. Kotick has denied any wrongdoing. Oh boy. Yeah, you see, guys, that's the type of stuff where it's like, you know, the devil's in the details. The investors are led by Swedish pension fund Shajonde AP Fund, AP7. They have accused Kotick of rushing into the Microsoft merger and contend that $95 per share takeover price was too low from the outset. AP7 names Kotick, Activision Blizzard, and its owner Microsoft as defendants, which is actually funny. Like, no. As reported by GameFile, Kotick has now issued his response to the allegations. Yeah. Guys, I don't know if you guys know about this. In it, he accuses Swedish game company Embracer, which owns the rights to the likes of Tomb Raider, Dead Island, and Lord of the Rings, of being involved with the lawsuit and benefiting from it, something the company has denied. Part of Kotick's defense uses the declining financial performance of Activision Blizzard's Call of Duty and the console market in recent years to back up its claim that selling to Microsoft at $95 a share was the right thing to do at the time. And one quote in particular is being picked up by the Call of Duty community as being of interest. Today, given that console sales are at an all-time low, dude, this is dumb. PlayStation is not selling at an all-time low. Nintendo Switch actually had the record for the longest of all time. The only one who's at an all-time low is Xbox. And that's the deal this gremlin made a deal with, or GOAT. What I don't understand is how people are saying that it's at an all-time low because of something in November. It's like, shut up with that nonsense, man. Consoles are not at an all-time low. PC is hitting an all-time low, though. It's getting hit with that from a market standpoint. But Steam is at an all-time high. So you got to be more, you know, descriptive and accurate in your statement. So, yeah, Nintendo had the record the whole time. How the hell is that an all-time low? PlayStation actually had a record-breaking November in Europe, and they're still selling well, and they're on their way to 100 million. I say an all-time low, you know what I mean? It's like saying the whole generation. You're just like, no, man. They're making more money than ever. Stupid. So there's something wrong with consoles. There's something wrong with Call of Duty, and there's something wrong with Xbox, and there's something wrong with Microsoft first and foremost, more than anything. He's just saying, oh yeah, you know, he wants to throw his comments in there. So that's just Kotick for you. But guys, remember, in the video, he was saying that you wouldn't do that deal. He doesn't agree with it. But obviously, he was trying to get himself a flying off parachute and golden parachute and not suffer any consequences. And Microsoft came in as some imaginary white horse to save Activision, but we know that didn't happen. Look how Call of Duty's more worse than ever. I mean, yeah, just look at it. So yeah, today, given that sales are at an all-time low and Call of Duty sales are off over 60% from the prior year, yeah, I mean, Planet should be expressing extreme gratitude for the foresight Activision leadership demonstrated in consummating this transaction. You also had better developers there too. A lot of people left, and they're shells of what was there compared to before. I mean, yeah, you still got them there too, but it's not the same. And just like you got Respawn with EA, you know what I mean? So it's like, As GameFile points out, Kotick failed to provide evidence of his 60% sales decline claim. Of course he did. And neither Microsoft nor Activision have announced a sales figure for Black Ops 7 yet, but we know it's doing worse. But we do know Black Ops 7 has struggled in sales compared to 6, a fact that's reflected in everything from European sales figures to Activision's own admissions. And that has nothing to do with whether he sold it at that time or not. It has something to do with the development, the publishing, and Microsoft. And choosing to release Black Ops 6 and 7 within a year apart, knowing that if you can release it within a year apart, it's made in less than like 7 months. Like, it's ridiculous. It's pathetic. You did the same thing with Modern Warfare 2 and 3 remake. See what I mean? And the Modern Warfare 3 did not end up doing well. They did the same thing. So it's not a question of Call of Duty. It's a question of publishing, Suits, and Microsoft. And AI slop that nobody wants. Circana has reported that November full game dollar sales for Black Ops 7 finished below Black Ops 6 last November, but that's obvious. I could have told you that was going to happen. With Black Ops 6 launching in the October 2024 tracking period, not November. Of course, none of this takes into account the Game Pass effect. Call of Duty now launches day one on Microsoft's subscription service, very true, which will no doubt have an impact on sales, at least on Xbox consoles. And then this year you have Arc Raiders and you have Battlefield 6. And you just have a lot of other stuff launching that people care about. They don't care about that as much. But a 60% sales decline is an enormous drop-off even with Game Pass considered. Yeah, as I said, Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, and releasing a game so quick again that was next to its recent one. I mean, come on, how you go Black Ops 6, 7? That's like Battlefield 6 and Battlefield 7 next year. What are you doing? You know what I mean? IGN has asked Activision for comment, which is very interesting. There is data to back up Kotick's claim about consoles. November 2025 was a shockingly terrible month for Xbox video game sales in the US. Indeed, it was the worst November in video game hardware unit sales because Microsoft didn't do any deals for their hardware end. They jacked up the price multiple times before that. It barely sold anything. That never happens historically in November. You had the next Playground had to come in there, but that's not considered a console. So it was just PlayStation trying to carry massively with Nintendo doing their carry weight too. And Sony had to do that to keep that number there. You know what I mean? Because stuff is just getting too expensive and it's tough. So yeah, I mean, there's already so many PlayStations out in a while too, but Sony's going to hit 100 million. Nintendo's most likely going to hit 100 million. The problem here is Xbox. So that's not console gaming. In total, that's a small part of console gaming dying that had a very important sector and very important threshold to uphold in November, but it didn't. In the whole year, it tanked down. So yeah, there has to be somebody to make up for that. So that's going to happen. It does hurt console gaming, though, of course. Definitely from an American identity standpoint. And it's not like anybody wants that. Okay, so yeah, that was the worst November in video game hardware unit sales, right? We're talking about hardware unit sales, not software, not services, not revenue. All that stuff is. And the worst in physical software dollar sales. Well, when you got Game Pass, nobody's physical, right? That's that. There's not going to be nothing there. There's no deals. Sony wasn't going to drop the price of pretty much anything either in that time either. And Nintendo's always full price, and you got to get Mario Kart World was the bundle. People are still trying to go for that. More specifically, spending total for November since 2005's 455 million. Hold on one second, guys. So, I mean, that just pretty much states that people trying to save money, You know, plus you got the Steam market blowing up as well too, which they get their own stuff. People trying to save money. A lot of people are on subs. And honestly, the stuff to buy in the holidays, people already had what they had. Most people are still playing Arc Raiders, Mario Kart World. They already bought what they needed to buy. I mean, when you think about this holiday, you're practically looking for a really good sale digitally. Physical? Nah, man. Only Nintendo pretty much is going to do pretty well. Think about it. Ghost of Yotei already got his fill. They were going to drop that down too much. Death Stranding already, it's not going to sell that much. So when you really think about anything outside of that and Call of Duty tanking down, it actually makes sense. So yeah, that's a bummer for that sense from a third-party perspective. It's a third-party issue here. So that's why that happened. The lowest hardware spending total for November since 2005 is $455 million. Even worse, unit sales reached 1.6 million. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely pretty low. Because like you would have think Xbox would have at least sold 400,000 or 500,000, right? That would have put it up to like 2.1. But man, they barely sold anything, which is the lowest November total since 1995. And that's representative of declines across the board. Xbox Series hardware sales were down 70%. And you can think about how much has this already went down. That's the thing that sucks. PlayStation 5 sales were down over 40%. And Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 were only 10%. It's not Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like, no. From Switch sales last year, despite this being a launch year for the Switch 2. Yeah, but it's holding a record. Slowed down a bit, though, but it's still record-breaking. Kotick repeated his 60% claim elsewhere in his response, where he took a shot at the U.S. Federal Trade Commission's attempt to block, Activision Blizzard buyout. This is the thing, like he's being double standard here. Part of the FTC's argument was that Microsoft owning Call of Duty would give it an unfair advantage in the gaming market, but it ended up being worse. Game Pass went up. They lost money by putting it on Game Pass, killed their market, and their sales are worse than ever. Because that's Microsoft for you when they do what you say. Yeah, right now. You see what I mean? Yeah. Makes sense? No. But Kotick insists that the struggles of Call of Duty in the face of stiff competition from the likes of Battlefield show that not to be the case. And Arc Raiders for $39.99. The company's actual performance since January 2022 is telling. Uninformedly missing the long-range plan's target metrics, which should come as no surprise given that the company's historically missed nearly all of the ambitious targets set forth in the long-range plans, a fact known well to the board when the deal was negotiated. Kotick's response reads, all told, had the deal not gone through, this would have likely resulted in a substantially lower stock price, as it is easily established by Activision's financial performance post-closing, which has been far below the ambitious targets contained in the plans. Call of Duty is on track to perform over 60% below last year because of the intense competition from titles like Battlefield, Arc Raiders, insane they're not doing that, destroying the FTC's now defeated argument about Call of Duty's purported monopoly and the lack of competition in the first-person action game category. Following the release of Black Ops 7, Activision announced significant changes to the COD franchises, as we remember. So guys, there it is right there. That didn't work because you got the wrong entity and it's not the same. But you know how insane people were going over that? See how people can get in strong delusion, but look at the results. Hey man, even I supported it and thought I was going to do something insane, but it did nothing and things just actually got worse. It's insane. You would have thought, and it jacked the price up of Game Pass to $30 potentially. Oh, I think Microsoft would have done that anyways because it's just a greedy company. And the series is at an all-time low. So yeah, Kotick was right about certain things, but he's also a hypocrite. So you guys let me know what you think about what he said. And I have to say, at the end of the day, he got away with a lot anyways. Kind of. Nobody gets away with anything really in the long term. And he flew off on like a couple $100 million parachute with the bonuses. Yeah, that bastard. So yeah, I mean, I find it funny with some of the stuff he says, but yeah, I mean, Xbox is dead in that sense, and it sucks. I don't want that. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. Later. Peace out.